Senyor mga kasiloy, this is Ricky Ballesteros, the former Executive Director of Sinulog Foundation Incorporated. Join me as we revisit last year's performance of the Sinulog Grand Ritual Showdown. Before we will start, we will discuss how it takes to be a winner. We will discuss the criteria for judging for Sinulog Grand Parade. First, the concept and ritual, which is 15% na siya. Relevance to Sinulog, the choice of material as the musicality, movement qualities and expressions, the clarity of message, and of course, interpretation to dance movement. Concept must reflect Filipino culture, the dance, tradition, and emphasis must be given to the concept of prayer in dance. So that's first, the concept and ritual, which is 15%. The next is choreography, which constitute 25%. Artistry of steps and formation, style and expression. Dance steps, rhythm, speed, energy relates to the quality of movement. Space in the area where the dancer performs the stage is Sinulog Bakukay na Sanan, so that's 60 by 40 meters, and that's excluding pa ang duha ka ramp, which is 15 to 15, so that's about like 100 meters. No? So they have to use the stage, no? They maximize the use of the stage. Next is musicality. Musicality constitutes 10%. The use of Sinulog trumpet music is very important in the dance performance. In the context of dancing performances, it means that the dancers are aware of the music and the music elements within that music. If they had good musicality, their movements will match the quality of the elements of the music. So, importante kay ang musicality because if you have a good music, tendency is you can produce good choreography, and of course it trickles down also to choreography, including na sa visual tanan, and of course, ang performance nila sa mga dancers that will enhance also. Next is the costume. Artistic choice of color and style appropriate and relevant to the theme and ritual. So, importante kayo sa ang costume. That's 15%. Performance, which constitutes the biggest of the criteria for judging, which is 30%. This includes precision, coordination, the fluidity of movement, the alignment, the balance, focus, projection, rhythmic, and special interest. And of course, props is only 5%. You know, sometimes most of the contingent thinks that the bigger the props, the better. But sometimes, yung props will make or break the presentation. So that's only 5% of the criteria for judging. The props, the effective use of hand props, relevant to the interpretation of the theme and ritual. And of course, ang overall production side, no? That's very important. The components such as spaces, the lighting sets, sounds, multimedia may be incorporated in a dance. Of course, music, costume, accessories, and equipment of the dance should be in the context of the chosen theme and concept. With regards to the choice of judges, the judges' choices for the winners were always based on form, style, something they always look from other contingents. And of course, the judges are the best in the field in the culture and arts and dance. They are from the Philippine Folklore Society, the Cultural Center of the Philippines, and of course, the National Commission for Culture and Arts. The Tribo Sinulog Cultural Troupe of Tangub City made a grand comeback for the Sinulog Festival after 2 years of absence, taking home the top prizes both in street dancing, the Sinulog-based category, and the best musicality. So makita nato diri ang ilang concept, no? It's historical based since the artistic director of the Sinulog Cultural Troupe is a former professor and historian. And I think the concept is research-based. So look at the performers. No, aside from being very good cultural dancers, they also have dance sport performers. And as you can see, I think the ang konsepto nila is way back circa 1950s. Just listen to the music, no? They can provide from slow to mellow to soft music, then a melodious sound of music, and that made them winner for the best in musicality. And look at the dancers. Look at how they do their entrance. Makita nimo nga ilahang movements is very fluid, as if they're just gliding. And this is one thing that Sinulog Cultural Troupe, no, and the dancers are seasoned dancers. So they've been performing, aside from national exposure, they have performed also internationally. So makita nimo sila nga ilahang movements are well coordinated, and they are also trained like an athlete. And before you become a part of the contingent, you must pass an audition. So look at how they move. No, it's very well coordinated. And just listen to the music. No, aside from the brass band, they also have the choral group because they have a choir in Tangub. So they incorporate it to the musicality. And that the effect is very melodious. And as you can see, the dancers, as if they're not counting, they're just listening to the music. And of course, the stage set props, makita nimo siya, from afar, it really looks real, no? Oh, this is what it's all about, especially in costume, no? Makita nimo ang costume nila, sudden change of costume. You know, ang kaning Tribo Sinanduloy Cultural Troupe, they set the trend, especially in the fast change of costume. Makita nimo yung choreography nila, nga ang ilang movement is very fluid. There's a smooth transition from one step to another. And if you are a judge, you are elevated. So you can see the formation, the line formation, the discipline of the dancers. And look at how they move their hands. Very graceful. A synchronized movement, very fluid. And you can see the smooth transition from one step to another. Look at how they move their hands. No, they're very well coordinated. I had a chance to observe them in Tangub City while they're practicing, and they had to practice their hand movements alone for 30 minutes. That's an element of surprise. No, I remember that they use the same props when they perform in the Wonju Dynamic Dancing Carnival in Korea, and it creates goosebumps. They have a good start, and they have, you know, and they're very consistent from start to finish. Oh, that was a splendid performance for Tribo Sinanduloy Cultural Troupe. And I think they deserve a round of applause for that. Congratulations. And that performance is worth $1 million. Congratulations once again to Tribo Sinanduloy Cultural Troupe of Tangub City, Misamis Occidental. They always offer a solid performance and a strong entertainment value. Their splendid performance is a product of a well-concerted community effort and the full support of the local government unit. And kudos and shout out to Tangub City Mayor Jenny Tan and Governor Philip Tan and the people of Tangub, all the Tangubanos. Their challenge, challenge nila. So their challenge is how to challenge themselves or how to outdo or surpass their performance year after year. So congratulations again. You never fail us to amaze with your outstanding performance year after year. Thumbs up for Tribo Sinanduloy Cultural Troupe. We are now going to watch the performance of Tribo Lumad Basakanon of Barangay Basak San Nicolas, Cebu City. They are a consistent champion in the Sinulog Grand Parade, having won the most number of wins in the free interpretation category. Nakita ni mo diri nga ilang opening. Nasa set props na siya. Ang opening niya nila, makita ni mo nga from afar ang mga contingent, ang mga dancers nila, murag part of a mountain. And because their concept is farming ang concept nila, and the dancers are portraying like farmers and in celebration to bountiful harvest. Mo nang gitawag nila Tribo Lumad Basakanon because ang ilang place, ang Barangay Basak San Nicolas before was a farmland. So Basakan siya. So that's why they called Basakanon. No, but when you go to their place daw, wala na kayo makitang Basakan dito. Okay, pros na well-developed na ang place. So that's why ilang concept, they're very consistent with their concept from when they start, nga ilang konsepto nila they're really basakan, murag basakanon sila nga, murag farmers, farmers. Ang ilang costume sad makita nimo nga they're just using a skin tone with painted nga as if they were because in the early time during this before the Spaniard came in the Philippines, the Cebuanos were called tattooed people. So ang ilahang costume niya is skin tone lang siya, mura na siya painted siya. And of course, nanay yung mga accessories. So this is a very good start, the opening dance for the Tribo Lumad Basakanon. So they start with slow. And tunga-tunga nila, they're going fast and faster. And until na sa ilahang exit. So the secret of a performance is padoong ka pataas, dili ka ang imuhang kuan dili paubos, pataas siya. And I think the secret of a winning performance is to let your audience and judges long for more. No? Murag ibitin sila ba? With regards to the music side, unlike in Sinulog-based category that they can use brass bands, ang ilaha sad more on drum beats and tribal sounds. And only trumpets. Look at the dancer how they perform. Mura siya gihimo lang playing field ang the whole stage. They really enjoy their performance. And you can see the energy level of the performers. Just like the Tribu Sinanduloy, makita sa nimo nilang alignment and ilang formation. The judges are elevated and they can see everything on stage, no? Even the variations, formation, transition from one movement to another, kita kina kung kinsay masayop, kung dili magdungan, makita gyud sa mga judges. And I think just like Tribu Sinanduloy, ang Basakanon, ang ilang quality sa dancers nila, they're seasoned performers, as if they're not counting only, they're just listening to the music, and their movements are very well coordinated. And that's also the trademark of Tribu Lumad Basakanon. Look at them. From one movement to another, it's very smooth. They started with very slow choreography. Now they're getting faster and faster. So, dynamics ang ilahang performance. Oh, this is really Tribu Lumad Basakanon. Nobody can do this. Oh, look at the fluidity of movement and of course the formation. When they transition from one movement to another and the different variations, it's very fluid. Their props are also are very minimal, no? And they don't resort to big, huge props. Sometimes, most of the contingents, they resort to huge props. They think that padakanay yung kanang props. They think na ang mga judges, they're looking for the huge props that will, the props can make or break your performance, no? The Tribu Lumad Basakanon, makita nimo diri nga, their props are very minimal. They're just using their hand props. The execution is very clean. Every time you go to different festivals, no, daghan kay mo imitate sa Basakanon, but they cannot do what Basakanon ingon ani presentation sa Basakanon na very fluid ang movement. Even the props managers are the managing of props, no, wala kayo nang hagbong, and I think there's no malfunction of costumes, unlike in the previous performances nila nga may mga hagbong, mga headdress, ay mga props, mga hagbong, and you just can see ang ilahang props, ang ilang costumes are well coordinated, no? They won also the best in musicality. So makita nimo ang distinct between Sinulog bass ug ang free interpretation with the type of music also. In this free interpretation, it's more on drum beats, more on trumpets, while in Sinulog-based category, they can use any sounds, no? They can use choir, they can use brass band. Look at them. So they start with a strong start, and usually kanang the last portion gina nila pirmi, and even other contingents mugawas din Santo Niño, and this time I think murag makita nimo nga ang Santo Niño, unlike before nga sometimes makita liog lang usahay wa nagdungan og abli ang mga other kanang props nga mo create siya og kanang sinina sa Santo Niño, but this time I think they do it like perfect. You know, the contingent is given only 3 to 5 minutes. So usually the first contingent, the first dancer who stepped out of the kining hagdanan, that's the stop of the music. So the good thing is, kani atong mga dancers, they are already trained na they're not going to worry na stop na ang ilahang time, overtime sila, because the time stops, the first dancer steps in katong sa hagdanan padung exit. This is another golden performance of Tribo Lumabas. Oh, I remember this one. You know, every time I see a Carabao, I remember in 2007, they were deducted like 20 points because that year, in our guidelines, they were not allowed to use a props with wheels to discourage huge props. But that time, one of the props, at the last portion, kining Carabao nila ilang gipagawas, and there's a wheel. So they were deducted 20 points and it cost them $1 million. 2 judges gave them 100%. But unfortunately, if you're going to deduct 100 minus 20, that's 80%. They did not made it in the top 10 in 2007 because of deduction. And fortunately, on the same year, they joined the Aliwan Festival and they won the grand prize. And they won also 1 million pesos as the grand prize winner of Aliwan Festival. So that's a lesson to the choreographers. Always read the guidelines, and because if there's a violation and we're going to impose violation, the organizer will impose violation, 3 points is already big. You know, sometimes it costs you your placement in top 5 or even the grand champion trophy. But overall, in their performance, it was flawless. And I think they deserve a round of applause and even a standing ovation for Tribo Lumad Basakanon. And that performance is also worth $1 million. Makita sa nimo nga, when they exited, wa kay makita ang mga props nga nangahagbong. So it was properly managed. No kining mga accessories nga nagkalat sa stage. And at least ang mga organizers, was sila makuha ng mga hugaw. And it looks very clean after the performance on the stage. Because sometimes the judges, if it's a very close competition, sometimes they just look at the mistakes. Sometimes the cleanliness of the presentation, kung may na mga hagbong nga props, properly managed, kung may na mga malfunction. So, tendency is kung you have the same level of the skills of the dancers, the same production, tanaw na lang sa mga judges nga katong kinsay pinakalimpyo. Especially in managing the props. Again, congratulations to Tribo Lumad Basakanon. Thumbs up for Tribo Lumad Basakanon of Barangay Basak San Nicolas, Cebu City. Well, good points for Tribo Lumad Basakanon. The costume, the props, production design had contributed a lot in the performance. Of course, the synchronized movement o ilahang kining fluidity of movements is incomparable. Daghan kay musunod ani sa Tribo Lumad Basakanon. Whenever we judge, naagi daghan nga mo imitate sa Tribo Lumad Basakanon, but they cannot execute the same level or the same skills sa Tribo Lumad Basakanon. My suggestion, I suggest to Tribo Lumad Basakanon to rethink their strategy. Sometimes their movements are predictable. And sometimes kung good ilang costume, more or less the same color, they think that, oh, the same color manggihapon ni, the same costume. But if you look at up close, kada ilang mga costume, it's very detailed and wapo kay ilang pagdetali sa ilang costume. And one thing also, kada ilahang ilahang mga costume makers are from their barangays lang. And as I said, that was another splendid performance of Tribo Lumad Basakanon, and that performance is another worth $1 million performance for them. Congratulations once again, and of course, I would like to make a shout out to Tribo Lumad Basakanon choreographer and barangay chairman of Tribo Lumad Basakanon, barangay chairman of Barangay Basak San Nicolas, Norman Navarro, and all the members of the Tribo Lumad Basakanon. Hope for more international exposure. I hope after watching the two best performances of the two best performers in the Sinulog Festival, you can learn, especially on the choreography, the production. I have also suggested to choreographers and, of course, those who want to join competition, in any festival, not only in Sinulog, no, but in any competition. First, read the guidelines carefully. The guidelines serves as the Bible or guide of the organizers, performer, and choreographers. To avoid penalties, you should read and study the guidelines carefully. To avoid also penalties, no, basig pareha mo sa basakanon nga, deducted like 100% and you deduct 20%. So that's already 80%, no, 80 only, and it cost them a placement in the top 5 and even in the top 10. Number 2, create a new concept not seen from the past performances. The judges are always looking for new concept. No? Ayaw mong pangupya o concept because judges are tanaw nila nga gikopya man ni sa other contingent. Performance and energy of the dancers. Treat your dancers like an athlete so they can endure the long hours of parade and sustain their stamina until their performance on stage, no? Number 4, practice and rehearsals. Always conduct dress and technical rehearsals. As they said, victories thou are not born in the field, you create them during practice. 5th, know your stage. The Sinulog stage is so huge, so maximize the use of the stage. No, kitahay, di pa mo ka-practice sa stage sa Sinulog, you ask the organizer or any organizer kung unsa may inyong stage. Is it on the street or namoy stage na gibutang yun? On what's the size of the stage? So that while you practice in your respective area, butang lamog demarcation diha nga it's a 40 by 60. So by nag-abutan yun sa Sinulog na, so at least baka na mo yung idea kung how to maximize the use of the stage. 6, think about your costumes. No? Consult designers. Use light materials. Costume doesn't have to be expensive and always conduct a dress rehearsal to avoid malfunction. So, use always a light material. Okay, ano mang light material because you can never tell if it's raining or if it's very hot. So, if it's raining, so it can be easily dried or when soaked in wet, no? Bugat kay siya, so kinahanglan nimo gamiton is kanang light material. Kanang dili ra sad mo uga. And dili sad siya init. Because in Sinulog, usually ni kabuntag mo uwan, ni kahapon mo init, ni kagabi mo init. So make sure that their costumes are made of light material. 7, leave a lasting impression. The secret of winning performance is to let the audience and judges long for more. So imong ihang sila. So, you don't have to utilize the 3 to 5 minutes. So, sometimes, nagkitahay, mo overtime ka, no? They said that a 5-minute is too short for a very good performance and too long for a bad performance. Sometimes, ang judges, kung taas ang kaimo presentation mo, unlike judges, pero sa panimo magsayaw, no? So, kinahanglan ihang nimo ang imong audience, no? Pataas ang imong performance, going to the climax. 8, get feedbacks. Be open to suggestions. Seek advice from seasoned choreographers. 9, always do evaluation after every performance. Evaluate your strength and weaknesses, and identify what are to be improved. So, importante ka na siya. And number 10, importante ka ni, pinaka-importante ni, number 10, just like any sportsman, be a good sportsman. Know how to accept defeat. Remember, if you can't accept defeat, you can't win. And lastly, always remember, mga losers daw, focus on winners. And winners focus on winning. So that's all for now. Keep safe, stay healthy, stay at home. Have a safe Sinulog, everyone.